everyone, welcome back to another episode of GMAT Friday. I am Durga Sarkar, your verbal mentor with IMS International. As you all know that we have two types of questions on the verbal section and we have already discussed some critical reasoning questions. Today we are going to focus on reading comprehension. So on our agenda for today, we have a reading comprehension passage which is a science passage. You can term it as a medium or a moderate level passage. So here I want you to strategically pause the video and have a look at all the three questions which are given. Try all the three questions and then come back to the video for the solutions. Okay guys, so now let's have a look at what the passage is trying to say and let's read the passage line by line. Desert plant populations have evolved sophisticated physiological behavioral traits that aid survival in arid conditions. So desert plant populations, they have evolved certain characteristics in them that help them in survival in dry and extremely dry conditions. Now let's read ahead what the author is trying to say about that. Maybe he's trying to give some examples in order to strengthen his point, or maybe he's going against his point. Let's read ahead. Some send out long, unusually deep tap roots. Others utilize shallow but widespread roots which allow them to absorb large intermittent flows of water. So the author is trying to give us some examples to strengthen his point that how roots of different plant populations have adapted in order to absorb the limited water that they have. Certain plants protect their access to water. Now, how are the plants protecting their access to water? There is a certain species, the creosote bush, which produces a potent root toxin that inhibits the growth of competing root systems. So, the creosote bush will release a toxin in such a way that maybe the plants that are growing in the neighboring area will die so that the bush does not have to compete for water. Daytime closure of stomata exemplifies a further genetic adaptation. Minimize the daytime water loss, later allowing the stomata to open when conditions are more favorable to gas exchange with the environment. So here there is another adaptation in the stomata wherein the guard cells are working in such a way that stomata are only opening at a certain time in a day so that there is minimum exchange of water that is happening. Certain adaptations reflect the principle that a large surface area facilitates water and gas exchange. Now, there is another point which the author is trying to add, in which he tells us that whenever there is a large surface area, there will be more water and gas exchange. So, maybe now he'll try to tell us how this can be reduced or how he's trying to say with certain examples, the plants have adapted to reduce this. Most plants have small leaves, modified leaves which are spines or no leaves at all. This will help again in reducing the evaporation. The main food producing organ is not the leaf but the stem, which is often green and non-woody. Thick wavy stems and cuticles seen in succulents such as cacti and agaves also help conserve water. So all in all, the plant has adapted, the different parts of the plants are adapting so that there is less loss of water. Spines and thorns protect against predators and also minimize water loss. So if I want to say, or if we want to summarize, the complete passage is talking about how the different plant populations, how the different species of plants which are present in the desert, they are trying to lessen the loss of water, they are trying to reduce their loss of water and effectively use whatever amount of water they have for their living. So now let's have a look at the question and solve the questions one by one. Let's move to the first question. What is the first question saying? The passage refers to spines and thorns of desert plants as. So here the question is referring to spines and thorns. We can say that this is a location based question because the author has talked about spines and thorns at multiple locations. So first and foremost, let's go back to those locations where we read about spines and thorns and quickly go through the points that are there. So we have spines here in this sentence. Then we are also talking about spines and thorns in the last sentence of the paragraph. Let's quickly read. We know that spines have been modified in such a way that they are very thin or they are not existent at all. Or we also know that spines and thorns protect against predators and they also help in minimum water loss. Now let's have a look at the options. What is the first option saying? Genetically evolved structural adaptations that protect against predation. We know spines protect us against the predators. So the first point will work here. The second point says genetic modifications that aid in the reduction of water loss. This was actually one of the main purposes why the leaves turned into spines, to minimize water loss. So we can go for the second point as well. And thirdly, structures that do not participate directly in food production. Now here there is a little bit of inference that you will have to make. Food production. When did we talk about food production? The main food producing organ is not the leaf but the stem. So what has happened? How has the plant adapted? The leaf, which is supposed to be the main food producing organ, because it has changed into the spine, now the stem is producing food. So the spines and thorns are not participating in food production. This is absolutely correct. So all the three options stand true when we talk about spines and thorns, and thus E will be our correct choice. Now let's have a look at the second question. What is the question saying? The passage suggests that which of the following weather related conditions would most benefit plants with shallow root systems. Now where did we read about shallow root systems? I think we read it in the initial part of the paragraph where we were talking about the different physiological and behavioral traits. Others utilize shallow but widespread root systems. So these shallow and widespread root systems will help in what? Allow the plants to absorb large intermittent flows of water. So whenever the flow of water is large and intermittent means that there is a large flow and then there is a sudden stop. So there is not a regular flow but an irregular flow of water with large quantities in between. That is an intermittent flow. Now let's see out of the 5 options which scenario will fit into this large intermittent flow of water. The first one, A, is an unusually prolonged drought. In a drought condition, you will not have any water. So we can eliminate A. B is a windstorm. In a windstorm, you will have winds, not water. So we can eliminate B. C says a flash flood. Flood is definitely something that will give the plant a large amount of water. Flash means sudden. So definitely a flash flood can work. But we will not mark C until and unless we have a look at all the options. Let's go for D. D talks about a light spring rain. A light spring rain will be a sudden flow of water, but it will not be a large flow because it's just a light rain. So we can eliminate D, and winter snowfall will again not give us any flow of water. So we can safely mark C, and C is our right answer. Let's move to the next one. Now moving towards the third question. So question number 3 says, the adaptations of desert plants to their environment would tend to support the statement that. So what can we say when we talk about adaptations of desert plants to their environment? Let's have a look at A. The rate of genetic evolution is greater in the desert than in more temperate surroundings. Did we talk about temperate surroundings anywhere in the passage? Did we compare the rates? No. We only talked about genetic evolution, but we never talked about any rate of evolution. So we can eliminate A option. Let's have a look at B. B says structures in a plant which usually perform one function may under certain conditions perform different functions. So yes, we remember that we were talking about the spines, the leaves in the plants that have adapted to spines, and now the stem is producing food. So yes, structures that usually perform one function may perform different functions. So we can hold on to B. Let's have a look at C. C talks about while the amount of leaf surface area is critical for a desert plant, it is much less for plants in most other environments. Did we talk about other environments anywhere in the passage? We were only talking about arid, that is desert conditions. Eliminate C. D talks about desert plants do not have many physiological and behavioral traits in common with other plants. Okay. Where did we discuss plants other than desert conditions? Nowhere in the passage. Out of scope. And E talks about desert plants could probably adapt to a life in a variety of harsh ecosystems. Harsh. We can definitely say that desert is a type of a harsh ecosystem, but we never talked about other harsh ecosystems. We were only discussing about the desert ecosystem. So we can eliminate E and safely mark B as the correct choice. So correct answer for the third question is B part. So congratulations to everybody who has gotten all the 3 questions correct. For more such videos, more such insights, please like this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel. That's it from my side today. Thank you.